Believe it or not, this video lesson is going to be very important. In this video tutorial, we are going to talk about a very powerful extension which is called Emmet. Now, Emmet is a very good extension which can be used in any code editors. For example, you can use this on brackets, Sublime Text, Eclipse, Atom, Dreamweaver, Notepad++, and so on, right? So this is a very good plugin, and what it will do is basically, for example, if you just write exclamation mark and then if you give tab, it will just create the skeleton of HTML. So let's directly go into the board and see what exactly I'm talking about. So if you just go to extension manager in brackets, or if you're using any other code editor, for example, Sublime Text or any other code editor, then you just have to see how you can install the extension. And from there, you just have to search for Emmet. Now, in case of brackets, here we have this extension manager in the top right. So here, if you just type Emmet, so this is the particular plugin I'm talking about. Okay. Now, in this case, I have already installed this plugin, and that is the reason it is showing me installed. But if you have not installed this plugin, it will show an install button, and once you click on that button, it will install this plugin for you. Now, once you have installed this plugin, just close it and say I want to create the structure of HTML. So I just give here exclamation mark and I'll just press tab in my keyboard. Okay, and you see that it has created a beautiful simple structure of HTML. Now suppose I want to create a tag. So let's say I want to create a div. So I'll just type here div and I'll just give tab. So I'll just press tab on my keyboard, and you notice how beautifully it has created a div, right? Now say if I want to create a child tags. So what I mean is, suppose I want to create a tag under a parent tag. For example, say I have a section, and below that, under that we have an ordered list, and in ordered list we have list of item. So suppose I have only one item. So if I just give here li and if I just give tab, you see that it has created this beautiful structure for us, right? So this is what this simple code has generated, right? So if I just give Ctrl Z, and this is the simple code. Okay, let me just come here, and if you just see here, this is the simple code, and if I just give tab, you see that how beautifully it has created this structure. Now if I just give here, for example, HTML, let me just save this file and let me see the output in the browser. So here you see that it is displaying a particular item. Now in actual scenario, you will be having a list of items, right? So we will see how you can create even list of items, right? Once we move further. Now before that, I just wanted to show you a few other important points. And this time, say you have an article. So suppose you want to add an article, and under that you want to add an heading, and after that heading you want to create some paragraph. So if you use the same method, for example, if you just give here article and let's give h2, say you want to create h2 tag under this article. So whatever child tags you have to create, you have to use this greater than symbol. So this greater than symbol means that whatever comes after this will be child of the previous tag, right? So that means if I just give tab, you see that it has created this h2 under this article, right? Now let me just give Ctrl Z, and suppose if I just give here again child selector, that is greater than symbol, and if I just give P, you notice here that if I just give tab, it has created a P tag inside this h2 tag, right? But this is not what we want. This is wrong, right? So basically what we want is, we want an h2 tag here, something like this, right? We want h2 tag something like this, and just below that we want a P tag, right? So this is what exactly we wanted, but we end up getting something else. Now just to correct this, what we can do is, let me just delete this, and we will just use the sibling character. So sibling character is the plus symbol. So let me just show you what I mean. So article, and below that I want h2, and along with that h2 I want a p tag as well, but both should be under this article tag, right? So I'll just give here h2 and I'll just give plus symbol and p. So notice here in this case it has given me h2 tag and then p tag, right? So if you just use plus symbol, it has created sibling tags, right? So if I just give here say Emmet, and if I just write here Emmet is a very powerful plugin or extension, right? Let me just see the output here, right? Now let's take another example. Say for example I want to add a progress bar just with the paragraph. So what I'm going to do is I'll just give p and I'll just give here progress, okay, and let me just give tab, and you see that it has created a particular progress bar, right? So let me add something here, for example page loading, right? And let me just see the output, and you see that this is giving me this particular output, right? Now it's not only that you can just use simple tags. In fact, you can use Emmet with divs and classes as well. So for example, if I just want to create a div with the name as nav, so if I just give here nav and if I just press tab in the keyboard, you see that it has created a div for me, right? Similarly, if I want to create a div with the name as container for the section, so if I just write section and if I just use this symbol, that is hash symbol, and then if I just give here for example container and let me just press tab in my keyboard, you see that it has created a section with ID as container, right? And I am a container. So let me see the output, and you see that it is displaying the output as well. So just to make it little better, I'll just give here a style, and let me just give here background color. Let me just give here gray. Let me just save it, and you see the output, right? So this is a container. Now similarly, say I want to create a class. So what I'll do is, for example, let me just come down here, and before that let me just zoom in, okay, so that you can see it clearly. And say I want to create a class of span. Say if I just give span and let me create a class name with the name as main. So if I just give tab, you see that it has created this beautiful span, right? So basically what I can do is, let me just give h2 here, and I'll just give here sibling character, and let me create a span here. So we'll just give span with the class name as say bold main, right? So if I just give tab, you notice how beautifully it has created. Or let us do one thing, let's use sibling character. Now what I'll do is, inside this h2 I want to create a span, right? And let me just bring my cursor at the end, and I'll just give tab. Now you notice how beautifully it has created this. Now in h2 I'll just give here something like, for example, Emmet, and let's add here something like tutorial, right? And I'll just style this tutorial. So I'll just give here a style, and let's say like color equals red, okay? Now if I just save this, you see that in the output it is giving Emmet in by default black color, and this tutorial is in red color, right? Now you can also combine div with classes. For example, let's do one thing. Now let's create a div. So I'll just give here div, and let me just give the ID name as say container, right? And I'll just create classes also. So I'll just say, for example, class 1 dot class 2. That means I want to create two classes. Now you notice if I just give tab, so it has created a div with the ID as container and class as class 1 and class 2, right? So if I just give Control Z, and if I just give here class 3 dot class 4, you notice if I just give tab, it has created 4 classes, right? So this is very flexible. Now suppose I want to add a link. So if you just use a curly bracket, you can just add some content as well. What I meant is, for example, if I just add here A, and if I just add something like this, and let's say if I just add here brackets tutorial, and if I just go to end and if I press tab, you notice here that how nicely it has created this anchor tag, right? And here in fact you can just give a link. So if I just give, for example, https, and if I just give www.tutorialbrain.com, and let's say if I just give here text editor and / if I just give here brackets Emmet, and let me just save it, and in the output you can see that I have this link. Now if I just click this link, you see that it leads me to this particular page, that is brackets Emmet. So in case if you want to know more about brackets, you can just come here and see the details, right? So at this moment let me just close it, and let me come back here, and suppose you are into a particular paragraph, or let's say I have a div, and inside that I have a paragraph, right? And in that paragraph I want to create some text. So if I just give here lorem, and if I just press tab, you notice here that it has created a p tag and then lorem. I think this is wrong. I think something I have done wrong here. So see here, first what we have to do is you have to just go to this particular location, that is after m and then before this closing braces, right? So once you place your cursor here, you have to give tab. So when you press tab in your keyboard, it will generate a lorem ipsum text, that is a dummy text. So let's try this. So if I just give tab, you see that it has created a dummy text, right? But still this is not complete. Now what you have to do is you have to go to end, right? I mean, you have to just come here at the end of this braces, that means just after this braces, and again you have to press tab, right? Now you see here it has created this particular tag, that is it has created a div, and inside this div we have a p tag with some lorem ipsum text. So let's see how this looks in browser, and you see here this is showing the result here, right? Now let's come back again, and if you want to understand like how I have done it, again I just want to show you. So let me just give Control Z. So basically we were here, that is div p, and then I have just given lorem here. So first I'll just bring my cursor here after m and before curly braces, and I'll just give tab, and it will create dummy text. Now I'll just go to end, and I'll again press tab, so that it will create this entire tags, that is the opening and closing of div tags, right? So this is how you have to just play around this abbreviation, and it will do magic for you, right? Now suppose you have created a UL tag, that is unordered list, and inside that if you just give li, it will create a list item, right? So this is what you'll get. Now in ideal scenario you will be having some list items, say 4 to 10 or 15 list items, right? So if I just give Control Z and come back here, so suppose I want to create say 8 list items. So if I just give into 8, and if I just give tab, you see that it has created 8 list items here. So again I'll just show you how I have done. So say if I want to create 3 list items, I'll just give ul, then child selector, and then li multiplied by 3. So this is multiplication in Emmet. So you see that it has created 3 items, right? So let's say I have added this as HTML, and let's see this one as X HTML. Let's add this as HTML5, right? And if I just see the output, you see this output is displaying correctly here, right? So you can try various combinations, right? Now again let us do some more analysis here. So what I'll do is I'll just try to create some more items, and I'll just give some item names, or I'll just add some links to that. So for example, let's say I have an unordered list, and inside that I want to create some list of items. So let's give the class name as items, okay? and let's create 4 list items. So I'll just give into 4, right? So just to see how it looks, if I just give tab, you see that this is how it will look at this moment, right? Now what I am going to do is I'll just add a link to these items. So let's say if I just give here child selector, greater than symbol, and if I just give here a, and let's give the name of the item. So if I just give here, for example, item name, okay, and if I just go to the end and if I just press tab, you see that it has beautifully created this, right? So this is an ordered list, and inside that I have a list item. In this list item, inside that I have an anchor tag, right? And then again I have these many list items, that is totality it is having 4 list items. So let's give Control Z, and you see this is the unordered list. So everything after this symbol will be under this, right? So if you just give tab, you see that everything is under this UL, right? So let me just come back, and here you see that this list items, what I'm saying is I want 4. So that is the reason I have just given multiplied by 4. And under this list item, so under one list item I want an anchor tag, right? So I'll just give a, and then I want to give the name, right? So if I just give tab, you see that how nicely it has given me. So this is how you can just create here, and you can just give the link here also. So you can just give your like www.google.com, right? And I'll just give the same name. In fact, what you can do is you can just give Alt, and then you can select everything here. And once you select everything, just paste it here, and you see that this www.google.com, this particular link is present, all these hyperlinks, right? So again, I'll just repeat what I have done. So basically what I have done is I just brought my cursor here, and I have just pressed Alt in my keyboard, and I'll just drag this. You have to make sure that you are dragging it in the same line, right? You don't have to select any other text, right? Once you have done this, just give Control V, and you have copied this particular hyperlink to all this, right? And let me just see how it looks, right? So if I just click on this link, you see that it leads me to this particular link, that is www.google.com, right? Now you can just click this link to verify that. So it is better to give https : and then www.google.com. So if I just copy this, and let me just paste it here, and I'll just change this. So again, I'll just save this, and you see that it is giving me these details. If I click on this link, you see that it leads me to google.com. Now you can also try some other things as well. So suppose I want to create a table. So let's say I have a table, and inside that table, as we know that it is a collection of rows and columns, right? So let's create a row, that is table row, and let's create table head also. And just to see the structure, just press tab, and this is how your table will look like, right? Now what I'll do is just give Control Z, and let's create some columns and some rows. So let's give here, for example, let's say I want to create 3 headings. So I'll just give here column, and I'll just give a dollar symbol. I'll just explain what is this dollar symbol. And if I just go to end, and if I just press tab, you see that by default it is giving me this number, that is column 1. Now if I just give here, for example, 3, and if I just press tab, you notice here it is automatically incrementing this, that is column 1, column 2, column 3. So if you want to give numbering, then you can just give this dollar symbol. Now if you just give $2 symbol, and if you just give tab, you notice here it is giving 01, 02, 03, right? Again, if you just give here, say 4, that is $4 symbol, and if you just give tab, you see it has created 0001, 0002, and 0003, right? Now suppose you are here. Now again, inside this also, if you want to add some rows, so at this moment, if I just see the output, it will look like this, that is column 1, column 2, column 3, right? Now what I'll do is I'll just add some values in it, right? So let's give tr, that is table row, and I'll just add table description inside this table row, right? And let's say I want 3 columns, so I'll just say, for example, val, and I'll just give dollar, and let's say I want 3 columns, right? So I'll just give in multiplication of 3. Let's press tab in my keyboard. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Okay, I got it. So I have to remove this child selector, I mean greater than symbol, because it is not required at that particular location. Now if I just press tab, you notice it has created value, that is value 1, value 2 and value 3, right? So val 1, val 2 and val 3 will go under column 1, column 2 and column 3 respectively. Now let me just delete the 0, 0, 0, that is not required. So I can just select these 3, and how I'll select it, I'll just bring my cursor here and I'll just give Alt. So I'll just press Alt in my keyboard and I'll just come down and I'll just go to right and I'll select the required number of characters and I'll just press delete in my keyboard, right? So you can see that it has deleted all these, and if I just go to the output, you see that column 1 is having value as val 1, column 2 as val 2, column 3 as val 3, right? So you can see that it is extremely simple when we use this particular extension. Now let me just add some list of models of cars. So let me do one thing. So let me create a div with class name as cars. Okay, so I'll just give dot cars, and inside that I want an unordered list. So I'll just give unordered list, that is UL. Inside this, I mean below this, I'll just give li, and let's create the class name as model, or let's do one thing, I'll just create ID here this time. So I'll just give here model, and I'll just give underscore, let's say $, and let's multiply by 5. So that means I have created 5 models of cars, right? So just press tab, and you see that it has created 5 models of cars, right? So you can just give here, for example, let's say model 1. I can just copy it here. Okay, so if I keep on copying like this, let me just, let's 5, 4, 3 and then it's 2, right? So if I just see the output here, you see that it is displaying the model of cars, right? Even you can just add an h2 tag here. So you can just say here cars models, right? So this is how it will display, right? Now it is not mandatory that it will start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. I mean, it is not important that it will start with 1 itself. You can start the numbering from any particular number. Say you want to start numbering from number, say 5. Then what you have to do is, say in the same example, if I just give, for example, dot cars, that is I want to create a div with the class name as cars, right? So I've just given cars, and inside that I want unordered list, right? So I've just given UL, and inside that I want list of items, right? And I want to create a div, so I'll just give here model, right? And this time what I'll do is, say if I just give underscore dollar symbol, and if I just give at the rate. So if I just give at the rate, say if I want to start with the number 5, and let me just create 5 list items. So if I just give tab, you notice here that this time this numbering has started with the number 5, right? So it is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So I'll just show you again. So what I've done is, I've created class name with cars. Inside that I've created an unordered list and then list of items, and those list of items will be having the ID name as model underscore, and it will start with 5, right? So it will be model underscore 5, and then it will keep on incrementing one by one until it has 5 list items. So if I just give tab, you see it is 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now it is not mandatory that it has to be in increasing order. Even you can just decrease the order as well. So in the same situation, if I just give cars and then let's say UL, and then it will be UL, and inside that I have a list of item, right? And then say if I have model, or this, see it is div, right? So I'll just give model underscore, let's say I have dollar symbol, and let's give @ symbol, and I'll just give minus, right? And let's say if I just multiply by 5, and if I just give tab, you notice here that now it is starting with 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, right? So if I just come here, and let's say if I just give here 4, and if I just give tab, you notice here that it is 4, 3, 2 and 1, right? So this is how you can use Emmet. Now I'll just show again one important concept that is called climbing and grouping. So what I meant is, for example, say you have a section. Now if I just have section, and say if you want to create 2 paragraphs inside this section. So suppose if I just give here P, and inside that, suppose I want to create a paragraph with image tag, right? So if I just give ing plus P, so if I just give tab, you notice what is the problem here. So you notice that it has created this section, that is fine, but this is the paragraph, and inside that again we have a paragraph, and then we have ing tag, right? So this is wrong. This is not what we want. Basically we want 2 separate paragraphs, but in this case what it has done is it has created this paragraph inside this paragraph, right? So this is not what we were expecting. Now to solve this, there are 2 ways. First one is climbing. So what I'll do is I'll just use a caret symbol in place of this plus symbol. So if I just give caret symbol, and if I just give tab, you notice that this time it is not a problem, because here we have a section, right? Inside that we have a P tag, and P tag contains this image tag, and again we have a separate P section, right? I mean P tag. So this is not a problem. So you can fix that using this, right? So if I just save this, and you see in the browser that since we have not added any list of items here, that is the reason it is just giving these plain dots without any values. So if you just add some value here, you can expect something. So if I just say, if I just add here hello, and here I'll just add here, so for example I'll just say hi, okay? So you see it is displaying the output, and let's add here welcome to Tutorialbrain. Now see, in this case I have not added any image source, right? So I'm expecting this alt attribute, I mean this particular value, to be displayed in the browser, right? So if I just come here, you see that it displays this value, right? Now let me do one thing. I'll just show you grouping as well. So what basically is grouping? So see, the problem here was, if I just give div, and if I just give here P tag, and then if I just give image, and then if I just give P, it will create a problem, right? So let me just give tab here, and you see this is the problem here, and this bracket code editor, in fact you can see that it is in red color, right? That means it is a problem. So this is a problem here. So inside this P tag I have given this particular closing of P tag, and inside this P tag again we have a P tag. So the first way to fix this is using the climb up, which we have understood here, and the second way is you can just do grouping. So what I'll do is I'll just group these 2 things. For example, so what I want is I want the image tag under this P tag, right? So this image tag should come under P tag. So I'll group these 2, right? Because these 2 should be together. So P and image should come under this div, and combinedly these 2 should come, right? So here you see that these 2 are coming under this section tag, right? Or if you're using div tag, not a problem. So say if I'm just using section, because I have already used section here, so just to show how it works, and what I'll do is here, this is the plus, that is sibling character with P. So this will make sure that in section we have 2 childs. One is this child and another one is this child, but these 2 are sibling to each other, right? So you can see this one and this one are sibling, right? So if I just give tab here, you notice it is giving me the same result, right? So this is how you can work with Emmet. So what I have done is I have deleted all the extra things, and I've just kept the body tag as empty now. Now let us understand how you can add or how I can show the custom attributes using this particular plugin. Now suppose I want to create a div with the class name as insurance, and inside that I want some 3 images. For example, I want image 1, image 2 and image 3, and all those image tags should be having the same class so that I can apply the same styling on that, right? So this can be a requirement. Now let us see how we can achieve this easily. So if I want a div with the class name as insurance, I can just write here insurance, right? And inside this div I want 3 images, right? So I'll just give image into 3, right? Now if you just give tab, you notice here that this is the particular generated tag, right? Now in this case you see that there is no class defined for all these images, right? So what my requirement is basically that I want to even define a particular class name for all these images. So let me just give Ctrl Z, and what I can do is I can just use square brackets. Okay, so to define a custom attribute we have to use a square bracket. So if I just use this, you notice that if I just give, for example, say if I just give class equals say life insurance, and let me just go to end. So basically what I'm trying to do is I have created a class that is insurance, and after this div, just inside this div I want to create 3 images, and all those image tags should have the class name as life insurance. So if I just give tab, you notice that this has created this div with the class name as insurance, and the class name for all these image tags is life insurance, right? Now take another example. So now suppose in the same div tag with the class name as insurance, I want to add a paragraph, and the title of the paragraph should be welcome to Tutorialbrain, something like that. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. So let's do one thing. Either we can create it outside, or I can just show it in the previous example. So it is better, I'll just create another example. So suppose I want a div, right? So either you can just give div dot and then name of the class, that is insurance. So you notice how it happens, or you can directly remove this div and just give insurance, and it will create div by default, right? So at this moment I'll just give div dot insurance, and inside this I want a p tag, right? So paragraph tag, and the title of this paragraph should be something like welcome to Tutorialbrain, right? So what I'll do is I have just created this square bracket, and inside that I'll just write welcome to Tutorialbrain, and I'll just go at end, and let me just press tab in my keyboard, and you notice that this is the div with the class name as insurance, and for some reason it has not created this title. So I think there is something wrong here. Okay, I missed, sorry. Here I have to give title, right? Title equals welcome to Tutorialbrain, right? And if I just press tab, you can notice here that this has created a div with the class name of insurance, and in this p tag we have the title attribute, right? So whenever you want to add a custom attribute, you have to use a square bracket, that is opening and close of square bracket, and you have to give the attribute name, right? So in this case it was title. Now suppose, let me try something different. Now if I want to add a style, if I just want to add a style attribute, so let's see how we can do it. So say if I have insurance, and inside that say I have a p tag, and for this p tag what I want is I want to add the style attribute, right? So if I just say like style attribute equals, and let's say color equals say, or we'll do one thing, we'll just use background color equals say red. Okay, so basically I have created a div with the name of insurance, and inside that div we have a paragraph, and in that paragraph we are using a attribute with the name as style, and that particular paragraph will be having the background color as red, right? Now let me just give tab, and you notice here that it has given style equals background color and then red, right? So let me just save it so that I can just show you the output. Let me just close this. Okay, let me just add something here. For example, let's say welcome, and if I just, you see that this welcome is printed in this red color background, right? Because here we had not defined anything in these div, right? That is the reason everything was showing as empty here, right? So you can see how powerful this Emmet extension is. Now, for example, say if you just write here, say XYZ, okay, if you just write XYZ and press tab, you notice it has created a structure of tag, that is opening and closing of tag with the name XYZ. So if you misspell it or whatever you'll write, if you just write here, say ABC, and if you just give tag, it will create that particular structure. Now, if you just give A, you notice since A is a correct tag in HTML, so if you just give tag, you see that it has created this structure, not this structure, that is A and then this A, right? So this Emmet is very smart actually. So it will detect whether you have typed a correct tag name or you have just typed a wrong tag name. So what I'll do is I'll just delete this and let me just save the file. And what I wanted to show you is that we can use some other abbreviation as well. For example, say if I just use here, for example, BDO, right? So if I just give BDO :R and if I just press tab, you notice that it has created this particular structure of the tag. And if I just give here, for example, BDO :L, you notice the direction will be LTR. Now here in this case, the direction is LTR. So this is also a very good feature in brackets, right? That is, it automatically detects what exactly should be coming in your output. Now suppose if I am here and say in this meta, let me just do one thing. If I just give meta : say UTF, and if I just give tab, you notice that it has created this particular structure, right? Now suppose if you want to add a viewport, what you can do is you can just write here meta : VP, just press tab, and you notice here that it has created this particular syntax, right? That is meta name equals viewport, right? And then by default it has created all this, that is content equals width, device width, and other requirement, right? So this will help you to make your website responsive. So with the help of Emmet, you don't have to add these entire codes. You just have to use some abbreviation, and once those abbreviation will be expanded, it will automatically create that code for you. Now say if I just want an image tag with src set. So if I just write here img : src set, okay, if I just write like this, if I just give tab, you notice it has created this, right? Now if I just write, for example, img and then tab, you notice it has just given this src, right? It has not created this src set, right? So if you just give that particular tag name, that is img : and then whatever the attribute you want, for example src set, it will give that particular attribute, right? Now let me do one thing. I think I have placed this in wrong place. Actually this should come under body tag, right? It should be here, right? And now let's do one thing. Let me just show you how form can be created very easily using this Emmet. So what I'll do is first let me just reduce the size, and what I'll do is let me just give, for example, form, and if I just want to add a get attribute, right? So if I just give form : get, and if I just give tab, you notice that it has created this structure, that is form, action, and method equal get. Similarly, if I just give form, and then if I just give post, if I just press tab, you see method equals post, right? Similarly, inside this form, say I want to add some input tag. So if I just say, for example, input, it will automatically create input type equals text, right? And say if I just give INP, if I just give here INP, you see that it has given input type equals text, name, and then it has also given ID, right? So you have to just remember few abbreviation in Emmet, and once you master that, you'll be able to create your form or any other tags very easily. Now, I don't recommend you to remember all the abbreviation. So what you do is you first try to remember all the important abbreviation, and slowly once you start using this particular Emmet extension, you will get used to this, right? So next time you don't have to remember that. It will come automatically. Now, for example, say if I just want to create a button. So what you can just try like button and then tab. Now this has created a simple button, right? Now if you just give, for example, button, and say you want to create a submit button. So if you just give submit, and if you just press tab, you notice it has automatically given type equals submit, right? So this is how you can just try it out, okay? And say if you want to create a reset button. So if I just give button colon reset, and if I press tab, you notice it has created a type as reset, right? Now it's not only limited to full tag name. For example, say you want to create a block code. So what you can do is you can just write here, for example, BQ. If you just write here BQ and press tab, you see that it has automatically detected that you are talking about block code, right? Similarly, say if I just write here, for example, KG, okay? So if I just give KG and if I just press tab, automatically it has created keygen. So you can just try some of the letters. For example, you can try the first 3 letters of a particular tag, or you can just try first 2 letters, or even you can try the first 4 letters as well. So suppose if I just give here PIC and then if I just press tab, it will create a picture tag, right? Now you don't have to type completely like picture and then press tab, right? If you just type PIC and then tab, it will automatically create that. Similarly, say if you just give COLG and press tab, it will automatically create call group. Now some tags are like they must have some child. For example, I mean, if you just add OL tag, right? So if you just give tab, it doesn't make any sense because this OL tag, that is ordered list, must have some list of items, right? So basically, let me just do Control Z, and if you just type here like this li, so it will create list of item, right? Or what you can do is say if you want 3 items, you can just give like this and it will create this item. So we have already seen that, right? So some tags or some of the parent tags must have some child items, right? So say if you have again UL tag, again it should have some list of items. Again, if you have table, so if you have this table tag, it must have some table head, then table rows, table columns, right? Again, if you just have select, right? So this is one of the tag. In that select, you have to give multiple options for the user. Similarly, if you have picture tab, right? So if you just give picture, this particular tag also must contain a child item, right? So what you can do is, if you just give, for example, OL plus and just press tab, you notice that this has automatically created child item, right? Similarly, for UL tag, if you just give UL plus and press tab, it will automatically create this particular list of item, right? Now, don't try this like UL plus into 3. If you just try that, you see that it will create 3 unordered lists separately. But what you want is, you want 3 lists of items, right? So in that case, you can just give UL and then li into 3, right? And we already know that. So that means like there are a lot of ways in which you can use Emmet, okay? So we have seen a lot about this Emmet on HTML. Now we have already seen how Emmet can be very useful in HTML, right? So let's do one thing. Let's create a CSS file and we will do some changes on that using Emmet. So I have this simple document that is an HTML document, and what I'll do is, see, I have created this style.css and I have already linked in this particular HTML file, right? Now let's do one thing. First of all, what I'll do is I'll just create an h3 tag, right? And let me just type something, for example, Emmet demo for CSS, and let me just give tab. So it has created this particular h3 tag. Now what I'll do is let's create two div. So what I'll do, I'll just give div dot, let's create a div with the name as default. So the name of this particular div is default, and I just want to add some lorem ipsum here. So I'll just give lorem, and let me just give tab, and at the end again I'll just give tab here. So this is the div which is created, right? And let me just add another div here. So I'll just say like div dot, say I'll just add something like div2, let's give any name, and I'll just add some lorem ipsum. So once I give tab, it has generated this random text, and again once I go to the end, I'll just give tab again, and it has created two divs. Now let us style these two divs. Okay, so one is default and other one is div2, right? So what I'll do is I'll just give here dot default, and this is my first div, that is default, and the other div was div2, right? So this is my another div, right? Now let's do one thing. At this moment, first let me just save this, and let me just check how this looks like. Okay, so you see that this is my heading, and this is the first div, and this is the second div. Now just to separate these two divs, or just to show it properly, what I'll do is I'll just add background color. Now you notice here how beautiful this particular Emmet extension will work. So if I just give here bg, and if I just give tab, automatically it has given me this particular syntax. Okay, let me add some color. For example, let's say I'll just give here blue, and here this time what I'll do is instead of b, I'll just give bg plus. Okay, if I just give bg plus, you see that it has given me the background with this particular property, right? So if I just save it, and if I just see the output here, you see here, and let me just do one thing. I'll just change it to say aqua, and let me just save it, and let me just check the output, right? So basically what happens is that Emmet extension works on a fuzzy search. So when I say fuzzy search, it means like it will just try to match the nearest property. For example, if I just write here, say if I just come here, and if I just write say here, for example, pause, right? Or let me just write p, and if I just give tab, you see that the nearest it could think of is padding. So it has just given padding, right? Similarly, if I just give po, and if I just press tab, it will give position colon relative. Similarly, if you just give here pause and then tab, it will again give position is relative, right? So in this way, what you can do is you don't have to remember the exact abbreviation. Okay, since it is based on fuzzy search, so you have to keep on trying, and when you start using this fuzzy search feature of this Emmet on CSS, you will be used to it, right? So it will come automatically once you start doing practice. Now, so what I'll do is say here, if I just want to add some margin, for example, so I don't have to type here margin. Okay, what I'll do is instead I'll just give m, and then if I just give tab, you see that automatically it gives me margin. And say if I just say like 5 pixel, and if I just save this, you can see in the output it has added some margin right here at the top. And let me do one thing. If you just want to add some margin at the top, or the bottom, or left or right, for example, if you just want to add something in bottom, say if you just want to add margin in the bottom only, so you can just say here that margin bottom, that is MB, and let's press tab, and you see that it has automatically given this particular code, right? So let's say 10 pixel, and if I just come here, you see that at bottom we have more margin, right? Similarly, if I just say ML, that is margin left, if I just give tab, you see that this code is generated, that is margin left, and let's add something like 15 pixel, Okay, and this way you can just try some combination. Now let's try to add some padding. So if I just say, for example, P, if I just give tab, it gives me padding. Now if I just say padding bottom, so if I just give PB and press tab, you see that automatically it gives me padding bottom, right? So let me just add something like 5 pixel. Okay, and if I just come here, you see that I have added some padding here, right? So this padding is added at the bottom. This is 5 pixel, right? So this is the 5 pixel I have added here. Okay, now in the same way you can also add width and height. So if I just add W, and you see that it has given me the width. So let's do one thing. I'll just say like width auto. So if I just give WA, you see that it has given me width equals auto. I mean width colon auto, right? So this is what I can see in the output. And say if I just add height also, say if I just give HA, press tab, it will just give the height colon auto as well, right? So this is how you will get the output also, right? Now let's try something different. Now this time for this particular div, I have not added any width or height. Now for this particular div, say if I just want to add some width or height property, so if I just say width and if I just press tab, let me just give something like 200 pixel. Okay, and height h, and then let's say again 200 pixel. Okay, and just save it, and I'll just see how it will look like. So this is how it looks like now. Let me just decrease the height a little bit. So let me just say 100, and if I just see, you see that now few of the text has gone outside this boundary. Now let us do one thing. Let's add something like overflow. Okay, so if I just say O, and if I just give tab, you see it creates outline, right? Now if I just give OV and give tab, you see it is giving overflow hidden. So if I just save it, you see that whatever extra texts are there, those are hidden, right? And say if I just give OV and if I just give colon, let's say if I just want to create overflow scroll, so if I just give OV colon S and if I just give tab, you see that automatically it gives OV colon scroll. Now say if I just give OV colon and then tab, you see that it is giving me hidden, right? So it all depends, and it will just give you the nearest possible search. Okay, so at this moment if I just give overflow colon scroll, so you see that now it has created this scroll, right? Similarly, you can also create, say for example OV, and if I just want to create a vertical scroll, I'll just give OVY colon S and it will create overflow Y scroll. Now you see here that this is the vertical scroll and there is no horizontal scroll. So this is how you can just work with CSS. Now say if I just want to change the color, so I don't have to type color like this. So what I can do is I'll just give C and then tab, and automatically it has created this, that is color colon 000. So this is the default color, black color. And if I just want to change this to say gray, you can just do it and you see that now it is gray, right? Similarly, you can add any other property. For example, you can add floating, or you can just add any other property like background, or you can add some line height. Okay, so if I just say for example if I wanted to add line height, so if I just give LH, or let me just give L first and press tab, you see that the nearest possible match for L is left. And if I just give LH and press tab, it has already given me line height equals this particular value. And if I just give some value, for example say 15 pixel, let me just save it, you see that now this is the particular line height I have, right? So this is how you can use Emmet, and it is very good. Believe me, if you start using Emmet, it will make you work so easy. So I have covered everything. So I'll upload the details about this video on our website, that is Tutorialbrain, and I'll just give the link below so you can just check there. In case if you want to refer again. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next video lesson. Take care. Bye.